For every 10 people who try to get lean, only 2 will actually succeed. But here's the crazy part. Only 1 of them will be able to keep the fat off for good. So what's this guy's secret? Most people rely on quick fixes that eventually fall apart. But after studying the research, learning from top coaches, and analyzing the leanest people on the planet, the secret comes down to just 5 simple daily habits. By mastering these strategies myself, I recently got down to 11% body fat, and it felt almost automatic. In this video, I'll show you how to do the same. No gimmicks, no fluff, starting with habit number 1. Increasing your energy flux. So you've probably heard this advice before. If you want to lose fat, you just gotta eat less. But what if I told you the leanest people in the world often eat more calories while maintaining less body fat? It sounds impossible, but that's exactly what this habit does. So back in 2016, scientists conducted a study where they tracked 3 groups. People eating fewer calories but not moving much, people eating moderately and staying somewhat active, and people eating over 3,000 calories a day that exercising a lot, known as the high energy flux group. Can you guess which group saw the best results? So despite eating the most calories, the high energy flux group was the only one to lose fat, dropping their body fat from almost 20% to a lean 16%, and maintained it for years afterwards. So what exactly is going on here? Well, to find out, I wanted more evidence. So I called in Dr. Eric Trexler, a researcher at Duke University and the science advisor for our Built with Science Plus app. Using what's known as the NHANES database, which is just a massive study of the health and habits of Americans, he ran a statistical analysis comparing the calorie intakes of the leanest individuals with an average body fat percentage of 19% to the least lean individuals with an average body fat percentage of 35%.
Theoretically, you would expect that larger people with higher body fats probably eat more calories per day. In reality, we found a gap of roughly 300 calories where the leaner people actually reported eating more on a daily basis. A lot of times people with higher body fat, they either have less experience with self-monitoring their food intake, so they have more errors in their reporting, or they're just a little bit more shy about reporting everything that they ate. But with NHANES, you have an interviewer there who says, "Are you sure it was only 3/4 of a cup, or did it look more like this, which is actually a cup and a half? And I noticed you didn't include any milk. Did you really eat dry cereal, or did you have 2% or whole milk with that?" It raises a really fascinating question of, is it possible that these leaner folks actually were eating like 300 more calories per day while maintaining a leaner physique?
Now, Eric's analysis not only showed that leaner individuals tend to report eating more, but they also engaged in considerably more exercise, creating what scientists term a high energy flux lifestyle. Now, of course, other variables could be at play here, like leaner individuals having more muscle mass, which can boost their calorie burn. And, as Eric mentioned, the possibility of underreporting calories. But these findings align with what I've consistently observed in my own clients. In fact, Dr. Mike Israetel, PhD researcher and competitive bodybuilder, has noticed the exact same thing.
And what many people find is that if they have pegged their daily activity to a moderate high level, again, 8 to 12,000 steps is a rough estimate for many people, kind of gets you in that general range, it kind of just keeps the machine humming along and allows you to eat a bit more food while simultaneously losing the same or having the same size calorie sink. And that ends up supporting your training better, supporting your cognition better, supports your mood better. You're not as crazy hungry and cravey anymore. At the same time, you're losing tons of weight.
But a highly active lifestyle doesn't mean you're just doing a bunch of crazy cardio every day. In fact, all the experts I spoke to emphasize the power of plain old walking and just getting enough daily steps in. Even pro-natural bodybuilder and elite coach Alberto Nunez, who is known for getting to insane levels of leanness.
As simple as like, hey, no more than 90 minutes sitting in front of your desk. Like, go take a little walk or something, or you start off the day with a walk. Or sometimes even like some people who have big enough gyms, it's like, hey, in between sets, don't bring a water bottle, walk to the water fountain and come back. Right? So you get to be creative with it. And what I like to look for is like the path of least resistance. And for most people, no matter how chaotic or spontaneous your life might be, there is a way to fit in some extra movement.
So here's what I personally do to apply this habit. I already lift weights 4 to 5 times a week, but I also make sure I'm taking at least 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And to help with this, after every workout, I do 10 minutes of cardio. Doesn't matter what, I just pick whatever I feel like doing that day. And at some point later on in the day, I'll also take at least one long 30 to 60 minute walk. And if it's raining out, I'll just hop on my under desk treadmill. And lastly, I try to incorporate an exercise snack after every couple hours of sitting. Whether it's up and down a flight of stairs, walk into the furthest bathroom, anything that gets me up, even if it's just for a minute. So I want you to start small, pick one of these tips, and just build from there. And if you found any creative ways to stay active, I would love to hear them, so drop them in the comments below. But for the best results, you also need to pair this with habit number 2. Now, let me ask you something. If you were trying to save money, would you do it without ever checking your bank account? Probably not, because you'd have no idea how much you're spending or saving. But that is exactly what you're doing when you try to transform your body without keeping track of anything. In fact, there's a really interesting study by Thomas et al. Where researchers analyzed members of the National Weight Control Registry. Now, this group is like the VIP club of successful weight loss. Everyone in it has lost at least 30 pounds and kept it off for a full year or more. So we're talking about the top 20% of people who actually succeed in getting lean and staying lean. So what's their secret? Well, there was one top habit most of them have in common: self-monitoring. They tracked their progress daily, whether that was body weight, food intake, or activity levels. But with so many things that you could track, how do you know what's actually worth paying attention to? Here's how the experts rank them.
Rank 1 by a long shot is body weight. Because if you're consuming decent amount of protein and you're losing weight, it kind of doesn't matter what you're consuming because it's clearly working. If you're not monitoring your body weight, you're completely in the dark. I know people who have very meticulous step tracking, very meticulous macros, that they don't really keep tabs on their body weight, and they're like, I don't know if the diet's working. Like, well, how could you possibly know if the diet's working? The second most important thing is macros, because your macros, protein, carbs, fats, and then obviously calories derived from that are like the real big working gears of your diet. And they're going to have a huge effect on your results.
I think the first 7-8 years of my training, all I did was kind of just eat clean and train really hard. And while I was able to do some good things with my physique, I was never able to get as lean as I wanted. It was so eye-opening to me the first few times I tracked my food. The first few weeks I was like, wow, I had no idea. Just in general, I was prone to overeating that much.
And then rank 3 is steps. If someone's kind of sitting on the couch a lot and their diet's really stalling, then yeah, step tracking, and more than that, increasing the step count is a really big deal.
Dr. Eric Trexler also recommends one more thing to look out for.
Just the way your clothing fits. The scale's not moving, but my shirts are loose around my belly, they're tight around my arms, they're tight around my chest. Like, good things are happening here. So especially with someone who can stand to actually gain a lot of muscle while losing fat, for them, tracking that clothing fit or circumferences also becomes really critical.
But to avoid overwhelming yourself, start simple. Begin with just one habit: tracking your body weight. Aim for at least 3 to 4 weigh-ins per week, preferably in the morning before eating or drinking, but after using the bathroom, just to keep things consistent. Only once you've got that down, move on to tracking your nutrition. Now, you don't have to do this every single day, nor do you have to do it forever, but knowing how much you're actually eating is crucial. And I know tracking can be a hassle, so I've tried to help make this as easy as possible for you with our new Built with Science Plus app, which I'll talk more about later. But basically, you just snap a photo of your meal and it'll estimate the calories for you, logging everything right into the app. And it even keeps track of your daily steps and body weight, so all the data you need is in one place. But as powerful as these first 2 habits are, you're just not going to see the results you're after if you neglect habit number 3.
The results are cataclysmically bad. We're talking about losing pounds and pounds of weights on a caloric deficit and losing only muscle. We're talking about, if you're gaining weight, that you're gaining pure fat and zero muscle at the same time, even if you're training hard. Sleep is such a critical component of keeping muscle on your body and getting the fat off, that it is what I call an absolute non-negotiable.
And it's not just about muscle and fat. Dr. Eric Trexler explains how poor sleep creates a horrible ripple effect everywhere.
We find that folks who are underslept, they are really susceptible to excessive hunger. They're really susceptible to exaggerated stress responses. And so, they're hungry, they get stressed out more easily, And so they're eating due to hunger, but they're also eating due to stress. And there's this kind of like multi-directional relationship.
Now you might think the solution is as simple as get 8 hours of sleep every night. But here's the surprising part. Eric's analysis revealed it's not just about quantity.
I was thinking that people with higher body fat would report less sleep per night. And I was completely wrong about that. So they were like virtually identical at 7.5 hours of sleep on average per night. And so I was like, okay, I was wrong. But then it got a little more interesting because I dug into, there's a questionnaire kind of question in the survey. How often do you just kind of feel tired and sluggish and sleepy throughout the day? And that was where we found a difference. Despite the fact that hours of sleep per night were equivalent, the leaner folks reported that they were less frequently feeling tired and sluggish and sleepy throughout the day. So that leads to a really fascinating question, which is, you know, perhaps there's a discrepancy in sleep quality between the two groups.
So, how do you improve both the quantity and quality of your sleep? Well, the good news is that it's relatively simple, even if your lifestyle makes it challenging to get enough hours in. Here's what I'd recommend. First, try to stick to a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. So if you do have a late night, resist the urge to sleep in too late the next day just to avoid messing with your sleep patterns. Next, watch your caffeine intake, especially in the afternoon.